This is Kerrigan and Company.
Prize-winning fun. The Topsfield Fair is back, October 3rd to the 13th. From heart-racing thrills and exciting live entertainment, to award-winning food, giant pumpkins, and everything in between. There's something for everyone at the Topsfield Fair, America's oldest country fair. The Topsfield Fair, October 3rd through the 13th. For more information and to purchase tickets, visit topsfieldfair.org.
We're kicking off Breast Cancer Awareness Month on this episode of Kerrigan and Company.
Kerrigan and Company is here for you. Yes, Kerrigan and Company is here for you.
Welcome, everybody, to Kerrigan and Company. Great to have you with us. Here we are at the beginning of October. I'm filming this on the last day of September. Headed into October, of course, October Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And so we wanted to kick it off and talk a little bit about a big event that's coming up mid-month that I'm very excited about. And it's one that we've talked about, an organization that we've talked about here on the show a year ago, but I could not be more tickled to have my co-host back again. She's a good friend of mine, and she is always a bubbling, shining light. Gretta Monahan is here.
Not at 5 in the morning, but
thank goodness
time is ideal.
I was going to say we're noon time, so we're in good shape, right?
You let me, I can get my hair and makeup on and show up in one piece.
Exactly. I'm good. I'm good. It's so good to see you.
Thank you for kicking off.
You're one of the very few who have co-hosted twice.
Yes.
Ooh. We're sort of selective out here.
As you should be. To sit next to you is no joke. I get a little nervous every time I come in. I'm I'm not up to this.
No.
But I know you'll always carry the team.
Well, I am just so glad that you're here. And we are going to talk about a wonderful, event that's coming up. It's actually, again, we're taping on the 30th of September, but it comes up October the 15th.
Yes.
And it is for an organization that's very near and dear to your heart. And that is Find the Cause.
Yes.
Gretta being a breast cancer survivor. And we're going to talk all about that event. We're going to talk about Gretta. We're going to talk about all of that. But before we talk about that part of your life, I want to talk a little bit about what's going on day in and day out, because I know that life just keeps being crazy, crazy. In fact, while Gretta is here right now, she just told us she's got to go on a plane later because she's got to get back to New York because she's got to get to ABC Studios. You're still doing so much with the network. And with so many.
I love my family at ABC. Yeah. It's amazing. I have been blessed. I've worked with the best people. I have had a chance. They have all lifted me up. They have all brought me along. I mean, it's just incredible. And now to be on The View, I love my crew. I love my hosts. I love them all. They're great. And just the ABC family has been incredible to me. And I worked with Rachel Ray for 20 years. And I had an incredible, she's my dear friend.
Yep.
And so in life, in work, in what we all care about, our passions, we are like OGs. We stay tight.
That's so great. It's so terrific.
And I tape in New York tomorrow morning.
Absolutely. How frequently do you tape with the folks at
I'm there just about every week.
Yeah.
And Adam Glassman.
Yes.
He does. So he and I always say that we do the fun stuff. Everyone else works really, really hard and has the hard stuff to do on The View. We come in and, give all the fun, fashion, beauty. I have a segment called View Your Deal.
Yeah.
And I love it because I get to bring the best products, the best brands and partners, and then I get to actually give them, I put them out, and our audience can enjoy them at an exclusive discount.
Right.
So it's incredible because we have this awesome access. It's like a membership and a family and a club, and we get on there. And honestly, my hosts, if you watch us, Sunny and Sarah do it a lot with me, they go in and they start, it's like I said, I'm going to have to roll out a cart. You guys are taking everything. We haven't even done the segment yet. But it's fun. The audience is live. They're there. It's incredible. It's a blast. And everyone at home will text me and say, I love that brand. I'm so excited. I'm going to stock up.
That's great. That is terrific. But in the meantime, you're bopping back and forth to New York. I mean, actually, you live.
I'm still a Bostonian.
But you're still a Bostonian.
And forth. Yeah, Bostonian. Right.
And I'm always just so amazed. You have a fabulous store and you have a spa. So talk a little bit about that. And how do you keep up with all of that?
Well, I hate to tell you this because you're not going to believe it. My first location is 30 years old this year. So we're
Good for
turning
you.
30.
That's
so
great.
It was in Wellesley.
Yeah.
It's still in Wellesley. That
Yep.
was my first spot that I opened, and it was a salon. Since we've expanded into, now I have a clothing brand, a multi-brand global boutique.
Mm-hmm.
I have spa in Connecticut with Foxwoods, who are my favorite and great partners. I love them. We've been there for 20 years. My team has won over 10 Best of Connecticut's, and the
Wow.
girls here and my team in Boston have been Best of Boston more than 10 times in all those areas in fashion and beauty. So really for me, I think when we met years ago, I said to you, because you and I know each other also through Yolanda.
Right.
Who that was my first job.
Yes.
And so I looked up to her. She was a mentor, and I remember thinking, God, to do all this, to have a place where people can go and get everything they need that feels good under one roof. I would just love to do that in any way possible. And so now, 30 years later, I feel like, wow, thank goodness, with the help of my team, I'd be nowhere without them. They are the best of the best. I found like-minded people. We do it, and our customers and communities, everyone, when I started working in New York, would say, are you going to close and open in New York?
Absolutely.
And I was like, no way. I would never leave my Boston OGs.
I remember thinking that.
Never.
Yeah, I thought for sure we'd see it all go away and it would all be transformed to New York.
No way. Because you know what? Even though those offers were there, and even though I was styling in New York, and I love New York, and I have my clientele there, I have clients in California, all over. It doesn't matter. It's like this sacred family. It is such a community, and I love it. So I will continue to suffer on late planes and trains that break down, which happened last night on Amtrak. Shame on you.
To get you back here, right? Exactly.
To get back here to you guys. I love it.
So talk about the world of fashion and beauty. And, 30 years, you're invested, that's for certain. How's it changed?
Oh, wow, has it changed? So my love affair with the business really, it occurred because I love working one-on-one. I love working with people to help them find their best selves. So it's always this magic that happens, whether it's in the hair chair or the makeup chair, when people suddenly look and recognize themselves like, wow, I'm beautiful. I look amazing. I look great. I feel great now. There's just, that's one of those things that to me is like a drug. I love it. And so I built my whole business out from that feeling. That is something I love to do. And, it in the old days or the original days, people would go to 6 different places. They'd get their nails done on Newbury and their hair done, on the South Shore, and then their feet done. And women in particular, but people do not have that kind of time anymore. So the time and the ability to go all over the place has changed. People value their time on and off duty. And you know what? I started wrapping my head around saying, I'm going to find the best in class experts. I'm going to train my talent so they know what they're doing, so that everybody can have a celebrity experience, whether they're dressing for an event, whether they're getting their hair or their color done, or their nails. I want them to know that there is one place that they can do it all, top to toe, and get it done expertly with a smile. Otherwise, I don't want to do it.
Well, and I appreciate the smile, by the way, because, none of this comes cheap anymore,
No, it doesn't.
Unfortunately. So you do want people to appreciate that. Greta, you said Yolanda, and of course we all know that Yolanda started with that exact same sort of idea behind it. But truth be known, you really got your first taste from someone in your family who owned a barbershop, and you worked there.
Yes, well, now he's my dad because he adopted me at 50, but my uncle, Eddie Priest, still has a barbershop in Cambridge on River Street, 89 River Street, right between, it's right outside of Inman Square, Central Square. And when I was a little girl, after school, I would get over there when I lived in Cambridge, and I would sweep floors. And I watched him forever, and I always thought it was so cool. Family businesses are so cool. I remember having so much pride around that.
Sure.
We would talk about it at dinner. I would watch him in action. All of his clients were his friends and his supporters. Yep. And you know what? He is still there. He still owns his place. He is 89 years old. We celebrated it in August. I feel so blessed. He is also a cancer survivor. And, he instilled such a work ethic, but also he instilled a love of business. And I remember, Kim, I came out of, I went to FIT for fashion design originally in New York, and that's where I got a lot of editorial training, and I was pursuing being a fashion designer. That's what I wanted when I graduated Waltham High. And I remember right as I got to about the 2-year mark, you had an option to go 4 years. I had worked in, the garment district and was assisting stylists on shoots. And I got confused because I loved fashion and I also loved beauty. I was watching hair and makeup happen.
Sure.
And I went home on break, and he's the one who sat me down and he said, you could always go to hair and beauty school and you could always do both. And I said, at that time I called him Uncle Eddie. I said, Uncle Eddie, no one can do both. You're not allowed to do both. They don't allow you. You have to be one or the other. And he said to me, not true. You can be whatever you want. And now that's the life I'm living today.
Absolutely.
And I was just a kid.
Yeah.
So, and I tell you, I cannot keep up with him.
I absolutely
Kim,
love that
can't.
story.
Not even today.
Yep. 89 years old. That's so terrific. In Cambridge, folks.
Yes.
So if you're looking for someplace to get your hair cut.
He's a hell of a barber.
There you
hell
go.
Of a barber. He does my boys' hair. He's great.
And do you make sure he's dressed perfectly when he's there?
He is not taking any advice from me. He would say, get out of here. I can shop for myself.
Yeah. I can do that on my
Go
own
dress your
too.
celebrities. I don't need you.
Hey, listen, we do this thing Fast Five. I think you're familiar
Oh,
with
God,
that.
you stump me every time on this.
Well, we're going to give it another shot and see
Okay.
what we can do to you. It's the Topsfield Fair Fast Five right
Oh,
now.
geez.
Topsfield Fair is back from October the 3rd to the 13th.
I have to go.
Have you ever been?
No.
It's so fun.
Please, I'm so
Yeah, you
excited.
gotta go.
We're going to go. I'm going to go with you.
You can check it out at topsfieldfair.org. By the way, you go there, you eat a whole bunch of stuff you should never
Absolutely.
eat, but it doesn't matter because you're at the fair.
I'm sorry, there is nothing like a fair experience.
so
and
true.
Topsfield is iconic.
And it's always so beautiful because the trees are changing,
Yes.
and so. All right, here we go, my
right.
friend. 30 seconds. Here we go. What is your favorite thing to do at a fair?
I would have to say taste all the food that you just said I shouldn't have, but I'm going over to all of it because to me you're never going to get that. The
Absolutely.
local flavors,
Please.
the fun, and again, the moment where you're not thinking about what you're eating, you're just enjoying it.
Listen, a deep fried Oreo, where else are you going to get that? Your husband, Ricky Golden, has had a successful career as an actor in daytime drama. What is was your favorite soap opera?
Oh, well, it has to be, honestly, it was General Hospital for the longest time. But now it's all my
One that
children.
he's not
It's all
been
my children. Because he would get on and say, Kim, I was never on General Hospital. Will you please remind her of that?
Yes.
But no, I really, why I love all my children? I love all the ABC shows. That's where I grew up. My grandmother watched, I watched. It's very generational.
Please ask my children. They will tell you. I watched All My Children forever, and both of my kids would say, "Oh, well, we only watched All My Children."
It was at the perfect time when you got out of school. It was amazing.
There you go. What's your favorite color?
Oh, my favorite color now is pink.
And we're going to talk more about that. What's the hottest item that you're selling right now at Gretta Lux?
Oh, what a great question. I would have to tell you it is the Kate cashmere.
Okay.
So as you know, as New Englanders, we love our sweaters and we are living in them. That is a core part of every wardrobe. And I would say for most people, even in the warmer states, but Kate, Khaite, is a New York brand. She's a young designer. She's incredible. And she is making these sweaters that are like your grandmother knitted them. They're stylish and they fit well and they're perfectly designed. And the quality of the cashmere is amazing. So I think everybody is layering up.
I love it. Yeah, that's so great. And if you could rid the world of one thing, what would it be?
Cancer.
Absolutely.
Cancer for everyone.
You bet. Topsfield Fair opens this Friday, October the 3rd, and we have our last family 4-pack. We've been giving them away, and boy, people have been excited about it. Go to Kerrigan & Company Instagram page and answer this week's question. If you could bring a celebrity to the Topsfield Fair, who would it be? Enter by 5 o'clock on October the 2nd to be eligible, and we will post who is the winner. Be sure that you check it out. And many thanks to our friends at the Topsfield Fair for being a great supporter of Kerrigan & Company. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more with Gretta about the experience that she had with breast cancer and what she's doing now to hopefully make sure that nobody else has to go through the same thing. This is Kerrigan & Company.
Prize-winning fun. The Topsfield Fair is back October 3rd to the 13th. From heart-racing thrills and exciting live entertainment to award-winning food, giant pumpkins, and everything in between. There's something for everyone at the Topsfield Fair, America's oldest country fair. The Topsfield Fair, October 3rd through the 13th. For more information and to purchase tickets, visit topsfieldfair.org.
Get ready for her life, her music, her legend. A new spectacular production of The Cher Show is live on stage at Bill Haney's North Shore Music Theater from October 21st through November 2nd. Get tickets at nsmt.org.
This segment of Kerrigan and Company is brought to you by Lucia Lighting and Design, where people in the know go for the best possible lighting and design experience. Welcome back, everyone, to Kerrigan and Company. So glad that you could be with us. And keeping me company today is Gretta Monahan, and we're glad that she could be with us as well.
Love being here with you.
It's great fun to see you. So we want to talk, again, this is the beginning of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. October. And we're sort of today talking about different kinds of cancers, but you are a breast cancer survivor.
Yes.
And you were on with me a year ago to chat a little bit more about your breast cancer diagnosis. You have subsequently, not since last year, but since having been diagnosed, you've gone through treatment. And at this point, you are cancer-free.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Thank goodness. But you learned when you were diagnosed that you had no genetic background.
Yes.
There was no warning signs.
That's right.
You had no reason, to believe that, maybe your aunt and your mother or your cousins had breast cancer. There was none of that in your background.
No.
And unfortunately, we're seeing this more and more with so many people when it comes to cancer. So you have gotten on a crusade to try to figure out what do we do about this. And I know that in the past you have said, one of the big problems is that you can't even protect your kids.
Right.
You can't protect my kids.
It's like being blindfolded and trying to navigate, and protect your life and those you love.
Right.
If you don't know the cause, it's what are you supposed to do with that?
Right.
Whether even if you never had cancer before, how do you take preventative steps in your life to make sure you remain cancer-free? But even at this moment, it's an ugly word. None of us like to say it because it makes us shudder. Any cancer survivor will tell you that, but reoccurrence and prevention.
Yeah.
I of course, I want to do as much as I can do, like all of us, to be around as long as I can be and be healthy. But if you don't know what the cause is, how do you navigate?
Right.
And I have to be honest that, I said to you, Kim, that answer from my doctors of, we've done every test, you're negative you have no family history, you have no genetic link or any predisposed hint of any kind that you would be at higher risk. It's nowhere. So I said, well, where could it have come
now
from
what?
then?
Right.
And they said, I'm sorry, we can't answer that right now because there's not enough research being devoted. There's not enough focus on that research.
Which is, that's the crazy thing. You would think that insurance companies would want to get behind that.
Yes.
If we can find a cause, then there can be preventative medicine. I mean, for goodness sakes, at this point, obesity, for example, insurance companies get behind the idea that we'll pay for you to go to a gym.
Correct.
If you will go to a gym and take care of that. So you would think this would be a movement across the country that would be so well funded.
And I believe it will when there is when the voices, like your big voice and your platform, you care about it, you believe in it, and I think that's why it's so critical to keep Find the Cause Breast Cancer Foundation and its consortium of scientists who, by the way, have devoted their life to this. And this is, if you want to be famous, this is not the one to do. If you're a doctor or a scientist, truly. But the reality is they all have, awards and have won all of this incredible notoriety globally. But what I learned when I found them was, wow, my neighbor, my cousin, my mom, they should know about this. The people who care. And you being here in New England, there are few places I have found that care more about health, longevity, science, medicine than the East Coast, and the rest of the country is there as well. I mean, you said it. Now people are talking about it with weight loss after a lot of people like us got behind it and really helped that to become known.
Absolutely.
So I really needed, once I found Find the Cause and they were doing exactly what I was wishing and hoping, I realized they are doing it. But this is small. We need to grow this.
Absolutely.
We need to have a crusade. We need to get behind it. We need to ask everyone to get involved because 90% of the diagnoses that will happen are 90% of them have no family history, no genetic link, just like me. So I am far from alone and I am far from unique.
Yeah.
And that's not just for breast cancer, Kim, but that's for many other cancers.
Many
as
cancers, absolutely. So 90%, that's such a frightening,
90%.
It's so frightening, right?
Yes.
I think so frequently we get lulled into, a false idea that, well, my mom never had breast cancer, my grandma didn't have breast cancer.
That's
in the
what
clear.
I thought.
Of course.
I was doing my
my mother
mammograms.
thought it too, and my mother is a breast cancer
your mom is
survivor,
a survivor.
and she had no genetic background either. So we sort of breezed over this, but let's back up for just a
Yes.
second. So, the foundation.
Yes.
And it is called
Find the Cause Breast Cancer Foundation.
Right. They are based here in the
Yes.
Boston area, and these amazing researchers. A year ago, we had one of the researchers on, and it is incredible. First off, people so much smarter than I could ever imagine being,
It's
and
incredible.
thank goodness those people exist, right?
Yes.
And they are researching how many I've forgotten the figure, the chemicals.
There are 87,000 untested chemicals in all of our daily lives. So that can be from what we wrap our kids' sandwiches in to what we a plastic that we may use to warm something up or just to eat
To the
off a
lipstick
plate,
that I smear
to the
on my
lipstick, to the
lips.
cream, to the hair, all of it.
Right.
But that's why it's to a diffuser you use in your house or a candle. So I think again it's not to go out and say anybody's bad, but we are allowing certain ingredients, many ingredients, as in 87,000
Right.
chemicals, into our everyday products that we're getting exposure to that could be increasing our risk. So what I love about Find the Cause is they do the research. They do the research solely and only on environmental causes of breast cancer, but it also impacts all the other cancers.
Of course,
So if your
absolutely.
family has been impacted this, and let's say it's prostate or it's lung, they are doing the research on exactly what you want to know, which is maybe I'm the daughter or the sister or the son. How if there's no family history, what more can I do to prevent or lower my risk of getting this cancer and any other? And so they do the education, Kim, and they actually make it available on their platform for free. So we're getting all of the most critical information from the lab, from the bench.
87,000 means that every one of us is exposed in some way, shape, or form to a chemical. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that's a cancer-causing chemical.
That's right.
It means it's a chemical that we don't know
Exactly.
if it is or not.
But if you don't look, you don't know.
You bet. And this is one of those situations where ignorance is not bliss.
Yeah.
So this is a long haul.
This is life's work.
It
this
is.
is in the
It's-
category of life's work.
Right. So I realize that you are involved in an effort to, number one, get the word out that this foundation exists,
Yes.
so that people know. Number two, you've been instrumental in fundraising for them. But it feels like an overwhelming task.
Yeah, it's a really honest. That's an honest thing to say. I think for me, I'm 55. I want to spend time on things that are worthwhile. I'm not looking at how big or small or what size they are. It has to really matter.
Right.
And it's not just about looking after my own reoccurrence and understanding better how to navigate my own risk, but it's mainly about my children and the next generation. It sounds like, wow, why do you care? Well, you have to care. You have to care.
Right.
And what we do now matters for ourselves, but also very, very much for
Absolutely.
them. And I have two boys, and my eldest was 8 My little one was 2 when I was diagnosed. And so, I remember Kai was, he didn't know what cancer was, but he knew it was a bad thing.
Yeah.
And so I want him to see his mother doing something with that. It caused our family trauma, as it does every family. And you know what, Kim? Long after I was diagnosed in 2019, I have had the blessing of celebrating 5 years. It's a big, big marker.
You bet.
But I'm not foolish. I know every single day that I can't just turn my back on those being diagnosed, or that I could have a recurrence. I have to do the work now.
Yeah.
And to me, this is the best investment of my time, albeit a big undertaking.
Yeah, it is a big undertaking.
And I think cancer's scary. I'm also trying to have a conversation, not make it scary and not make it difficult. I want to help break it down, because I think that's where I shine.
Absolutely. Well, I think it's terrific. And I couldn't agree with you more, by the way. I think that this is, if not now, when?
Yeah.
You must begin this process. It might feel overwhelming, but it has to start.
Right.
We have to start somewhere.
So many people help me. I have to help them.
Right, absolutely. Big gala coming up. We're going to talk all about that, how you can get tickets. I was there last year. I am going to be there this year. It is a magnificent event. It's very fun. Let's just start.
You're a co-founder.
Forget about that.
Let's just. You're a co-founder of the event.
It's just a really fun event.
It's just a
there
baby.
we go.
It's just a baby.
But
we're
boy,
recruiting you guys. We want you all to come.
It's going to be a ton of fun. So we're going to talk more about that. But when we come back, we're going to speak to a Boston native. Her story is one that, again, if not now, then when are we going to do this? This is a perfect example of someone who has an unbelievable story to tell, and who also hopes that her story can lead to some kind of help in the future for everyone. And I hope her story helps her, quite frankly.
Absolutely.
So that's coming up. And we're going to share it with you right here. Gretta Monahan is with me, keeping me company. This is Kerrigan & Company. Get ready. My friends at Lucia Lighting and Design in Lynn are having a big sale. For 2 days only, October 3rd and 4th, they're having a blowout sale with 25% off ceiling, bath, and exterior lighting, 50% off recessed lighting, tables, art, and furniture, and 75% off all display pillows. Head to Lucia Lighting and Design at 311 Western Avenue in Lynn on Friday, October the 3rd, or Saturday, October the 4th, from 9 to 5 to take advantage of the incredible savings on one-of-a-kind display pieces and a huge selection of in-stock items. Don't miss the blowout sale at Lucia Lighting in Lynn on October 3rd and 4th. Tell them Kim sent you.
If you like rum, you're going to love Rumson's Rum, New England's most award-winning rum brand. Rumson creates distinctive and savory flavor profiles by hand-selecting and marrying the finest barrel-aged Caribbean rums. The spirits are then blended and finished in the New England Rum House. Choose from Rumson's Gold, Spiced, Grand Reserve, or Coffee Rum. Find Rumson's at liquor stores or ask for it at your favorite restaurant. Learn more at rumsons.com. That's rumsons.com. Rumson's. Life lived. Life enjoyed.
This segment of Kerrigan & Company is brought to you by Bill Haney's North Shore Music Theater. Stars come and go, but Cher is forever. The Cher Show, a high-energy celebration of Cher's life, is on stage October 21st through November the 2nd. Get your tickets at nsmt.org. Welcome back, everybody, to Kerrigan & Company. Great to have you with us. And, of course, keeping me company today is my good friend, Gretta Monahan. I'm so happy that you're here for a second time. It's good to have you. And you look terrific, by the way.
Thank you.
I know I've
Thank
said it
you.
already, but I'm just going to say it again because it's a fact. It's a fact.
Thank you.
We've been talking, obviously, as we head into Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and we've been talking about Find the Cure, which Gretta is intimately involved with. And we're addressing different kinds of cancers today, not just breast cancer, but, to find a cure for one certainly can lead to positive things for everybody and everything.
Absolutely. Just because they primarily look at one, it actually has a halo effect. And there are, that's the incredible thing about research. I always say that it'll always result in the best dividends.
Absolutely. So our next guest has a story that is unbelievable, really. And we're going to let her share that story. Kathy Ball-Tonzik is with us. And Kathy, it is so great to have you with us. You live here in the Boston area.
I do, yes. Yeah, I'm sorry I'm not there in person with you.
Well, we're sorry you're not either, but it's great to have you, period. Now, tell everybody just a little bit about you and what it is that you do with your life.
Oh, my goodness. Where should I start? I like to say I'm a good example of don't believe that you have to select a career and then follow that career path.
I like that.
This is my third career. I was a chef initially. And as my kids got older, I was missing too many dance recitals, Little League games, all that wonderful stuff. So I thought maybe a 9-to-5 job would make it better. Because if you're in the food business, by definition, you are working when everyone's playing.
You bet.
And I had a sort of unusual transition to a job on Wall Street. That's another story for another day. I think I was in the right place at the right time. Not that I didn't deserve the opportunity. Kind of climbed up the corporate ladder. I like to think about it as I sort of looked over and said, I'm not sure this is where I want to be. Very few women in senior positions. Long story short, I was the chairperson at a conference in the World Trade Center on September 11th. And as that passed and I began to deal with everything I was feeling, Mary Oliver has a beautiful poem, and at the end of the poem it says, so what is it you want to do with your one wild and precious life? And I thought, parts of my job that I love are working with people on my teams, helping them find what would make you feel excited to go to work on Monday morning and not have the Sunday scaries. And I was working with an executive coach at the time, and I looked at her one day and I said, I want to do what you do. So I left the job, went back to school. I've been I do a lot of leadership work. I got to train with Dr. Brene Brown in person, which was amazing.
Wow. Yeah.
I've done a lot of neuroscience and trauma work before I knew I'd need it myself. One of the things I started doing after 9/11 was running marathons for charity. I cut my feet that day. Not badly. I lived. I'm grateful. But I did cut my feet. Who knows what I ran over. And it became sort of a metaphor for me, or a symbol that I run because I can. And if I'm doing that and can help other people, what a win-win.
That's right.
Yeah.
And ironically, I ran for Dana-Farber several times. So
yeah. Well, I think you've run at least 11 marathons, right, since 9/11. Is that
That's
right?
unreal.
Yeah, that's terrific. And the Pan Mass Challenge, by the way, she has done as well. But we can get into that in a second here. 9/11. You've already said it. You were on the first floor, and you had to get out. I know that you've said in the past that you were in heels, as we all would be at a conference, and somebody said, get those heels off and start running. Take us just, if you will, through that experience from the time you stepped out of that building and you took off.
Yeah, it really started from the time of the explosion in the building, and I still have a few gaps in what happened, to be completely honest. I've pieced together a lot of it, especially by talking about it with the people that were with me on that day. But we got out pretty quickly to that beautiful day, if you remember, with sheets of 8.5 by 11 pieces of paper, just as if it were a ticker tape parade with giant pieces of paper. Your brain isn't really tracking because you have no context. None of this makes sense. So I think that's why when he said, take your shoes off, I was like, whatever you say. I don't know what's going on here. And we did get out. We ran up about a block and turned around, and I remember seeing the buildings on fire and the plane hitting the second building. And again, we were quite fortunate. We got back to our office, found out everything that was happening, not everything, but enough to say we need to leave. The gentlemen that were with me live in New Jersey. They said, you're coming with us. We got on a ferry. My office back here in Boston connected me with someone that was driving home from Philly. He literally picked me up. I was still wet from a shower at one of the guys' houses. His wife lent me a pair of sweats because my clothes were covered with all that stuff. And I made it home that night. I think I'm unique in that way, although I certainly haven't done any research on it.
Wow. That is not a story you hear every day.
No, it's not.
It's incredible because you immediately say how blessed you were. Such a traumatic event. We understand that, but it's and you had already. Tell us when the training occurred, when you started. Were you thinking about what you were going to do with your life at that moment, or did that was that after this?
I think it really hit after. I always knew that. Again, it was the people parts of my job that I loved.
Yeah.
But I don't think at that point I was thinking, okay, what's next? And then, so many priorities just shift after something like that. Everything in your being begins to transform, and you're no longer hungry for life as usual. You realize that perhaps there's a greater calling. Perhaps there is a way I can be of service. Survivor guilt is pretty strong, and I don't know that. I think that was part of the fuel for marathons. I don't know that it was part of the fuel for what was next, but I wanted to fill my heart with doing work. I remember feeling like if I could wake up every day with even the possibility of inspiring someone to think differently, sign me up.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Kathy, you're so positive.
Yes.
You've turned that negative thing into so many positive things, but unfortunately, and we talked about this a little bit off the air, but it seems that maybe that day possibly caught up with you, not just the trauma that you had to deal with for, I'm sure, many years and maybe to this day, but in 2000, and help me out here, I want to say 2023, so we're talking about numerous years later, you were diagnosed with breast cancer.
That's right. Yeah, and breast cancer was, 2023. And it was a little bit crazy because I actually had it for quite a while, and I kept going, and it was not diagnosed. I sort of like, go home, you're fine. It's like, I'm not an oncologist, but I'm an expert at this body.
Yes.
Right.
That is such a takeaway moment,
Yes,
what
is.
you just said, and I just have to stop. Please say that again, because I want everyone to hear that so that they can say that to themselves.
And I think that that's critical. I am not an oncologist. I do know this body, and I know it better than anyone in the world. And I think I had to combine that with building a self-advocacy model. It's like, no, I'm not okay. Look again. And it was actually, I was at a dermatologist for a routine visit. I was about to leave, and I said, because it was visible. And I said, oh, could you take a look at this? And she said, oh my goodness, we have to biopsy that. And a week later called back and said, it's cancer. But yeah, I agree. It's so important, and we don't, this could be another whole podcast, but we're all so susceptible to positional power, expert power.
Absolutely.
Well, you're the expert, so I must be fine.
Yep.
And I would go home thinking that. It's like, no, I know my body.
Right.
You can feel the,
Right.
And I think you have to get angry and just keep doing something until you find the solution.
Yeah.
How long was it that you were aware of that area?
Oh my gosh. It's embarrassing, but it was also during the pandemic. So I think everything in hospitals was a little bit wonky.
Right.
You weren't allowed to go. We weren't allowed to go. Sure.
Years.
How many?
2.5 years.
Okay. It's just good for us audience. This is such awareness,
So, Kathy, once you were diagnosed, could I ask you what stage were you? Because you'd waited for 2.5 years. You hadn't. The medical system had put you off for 2.5 years. Let's say that. And what kind of treatment did you have to go through? Can you share that with us?
Absolutely. I share everything in hopes that other people can say, oh, okay,
Right.
maybe I should do this. So again, I'm going to say I was lucky. Who has a cancer diagnosis and says they're lucky? This girl. It's something called DCIS. So it does not get into the lymph nodes, and rarely, if ever, can metastasize. So it grows incredibly slowly. And as my oncologist said, and she laughed, we knew we were joking. She said, "You're old, and this kind of cancer doesn't grow fast." It's like, let's just focus on the second part, okay? And so that involved outpatient surgery, but it was surgery. It was a part of my body, and radiation.
Yeah. Okay. You battled that for about a year?
Yeah, not
Once
even
you got
a year.
through? Okay.
I want to say it was really maybe 8 months.
Okay. All right. Not that we're making light of that. 8
No,
months
not
is
at
8
all.
months.
Not
I
at
mean,
all.
you
No,
know,
we would
and
never minimize.
The terror of that is
it's when someone says you have breast cancer,
Thank you.
no matter what
Yeah.
stage or phase or early or not, your life is at risk. It's been announced.
Yep.
And everything else stops. I mean, that's how I feel. And you had already been through something far more traumatic than most of us will never, ever, ever experience. So to have that put on the table, it had to be just incredible.
Following up on Greta's point there, I mean, was there, I would have been someone, I think, who would have said, really?
Yeah.
Are you kidding?
That's honest.
I did, yeah. And I think well, they're all trauma, but you hear it. I remember I was driving and I pulled over because I was crying so hard.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you go through waves. Like, sure, it was DCIS, but I didn't know that meant that there was no chance I would die from it. And
Of course not.
your brain just goes to everywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Kathy, you get through this and you're declared cancer-free and tickled pink and ready to celebrate with your kids and celebrate your life. And then you get a second diagnosis.
2 short weeks later. Like, come on, let me celebrate
2
a little
weeks.
bit.
Oh, I
Right.
missed that.
2
Oh,
weeks
God.
later.
This is when you go,
That's
okay,
unreal.
really?
2 weeks.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. 2 weeks later. And then this one was, I'm still emotional about it now. It was much more serious. Somewhere in about the middle of my treatment until the end, I could not walk up a flight of stairs without resting halfway. Said the marathon runner.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
I
Colorectal
could not
cancer. We
eat,
want to
said
just.
the chef.
Yeah.
And-
Right.
Yeah.
And I know that you've been quoted as saying that you would have run all 11 marathons back to back over going through this second bout, and this one being so much harder.
It was so
Yeah.
much harder. And I'm not going to lie, it's still hard. I'm still dealing with parts of it. It's a good friend of mine said they kill you and then they wake you up again,
Right.
just enough to kill you again. One of the agents in colorectal cancer is if not one of the most toxic agents that there is. So I still have a lot of neuropathy. It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
May I ask, did you have any family history to either of these cancers?
Nope.
No family link. And I know in 2023 there were very robust genetic testing was available, and now. So I'm sure they've had you do all of it, and still
I did
no
all of it.
link.
No, and I did it I wanted to do it for my kids too.
Of course.
For them to have a sense of, and nothing, zero.
So, Kathy, having said that, in my mind, and I'm not a doctor, that is for certain, and so I don't know, but I just immediately go back to, flashes of seeing all of that toxic, ash falling from those buildings. And now we know that some 50,000 people who were on that site, whether they are first responders or they are, individuals who had business in those buildings, have now been diagnosed with some form of cancer, many of whom have been diagnosed with breast cancer or colorectal cancer. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but have you thought about that at this at this stage?
I hadn't. And my daughter has a dear friend, I think they've been friends since kindergarten, who is an epidemiologist and works with the New York Fire Department. And she specifically looks at cancer and 9/11. And she got in touch with Maya, my daughter, and said, have your mom reach out to these people. She was very aware of this. I had no idea. I think if you live in New York, you're hearing about it more. But there aren't many people. Unfortunately, most people in Boston were on one of the planes.
Yes.
There are not many of us that were in the building that day, so you don't tend to hear about it here.
Right. Absolutely.
Right, absolutely. I would keep you all day, and we could just keep talking and talking and talking, Kathy. But before we have to step away here, your future, talk about it. What's in the future for you?
So I still do the work I love. I'm able to work again, and I work with teams, I work with individuals, I work with organizations. And I'm not sure what it is, and maybe one of you will end up pointing me in the right direction. I love sort of putting it out there to the universe, but I didn't go through all of this to not help others navigate it. I feel, again, I'm going to use the word lucky, but I think about people that don't have some of the resources that I do, that don't have some of the training, the education, the whatever. This is, forget the health part of it. Everything else, the bureaucratic side of having cancer is mind-blowing.
Yeah.
It's
and only getting
insane.
worse, I feel confident.
Yes.
Yeah. And I don't know how people with few resources, so I don't know how I can be helpful, even if it's just letting people talk to someone. But there's definitely something in me that wants to provide some of the support that I was lucky enough to have.
I can relate to you. I think I in so many ways, I think that I remember when they told me you have breast cancer, the first question I had was, how? Where did this come from? I just was so, I walked in from work, I probably looking much like I look right now. You said I looked healthy when I walked in. I felt great. My biggest problem of the day was jamming my schedule. I'm sure you understand. You work with pros all the time on this. I remember thinking, oh, the time, the mammogram, the this, the that, I've got to get an ultrasound too. Ooh, I got to go. My kid's getting out. I got to go to this meeting, do that. And I remember, I was thinking about all the things that didn't matter. I was changing into my robe. I can put myself there. I remember taking a photo because I wanted to give awareness. I figured if I'm here, let me snap a photo and let me share and remind everyone to get their mammogram because I'm here and I want to keep it real with my friends, family, and audience. And I remember after my mammogram and she stopped and slowed down and she was in my ultrasound, my mammo came back looking clear, and it was in my ultrasound that my doctor said, wait a minute, I need you to just be quiet for a moment. I have to take a closer look. And she stopped. She asked me to sit up. She turned the screen and she said, I want you to look here. This is very, very suspicious. I'm very concerned. I want to do a biopsy immediately on you. There are 3 lesions that are very small, and they are very irregular. And so that was the precursor to being told the next day she called us. We were, to your point, very blessed, very lucky, because we were able to have access to great and fast care, which so many women do not have right now. And I remember my husband and I just looked at each other, burst into tears, and we looked at each other and said, how? And after all of my genetic testing, I want to be honest, when it came, my doctor sat me down and said, I'm sorry, I cannot tell you how because you have no genetic link. No family history has come up anywhere, and we have done it all. Yeah. And I remember I went home and I said to him, I'm angry. I cannot protect my kids. Even sharing my story, how am I going to do that? And that's what became almost a calling for me to say, how do we do this together? What do we do with this experience? And I loved what you said, because Find the Cause, as you know, Kim, you'll love this, Kathy, we offer free education on prevention. That's part of what the mission is. And so it's so important because, and guidance and a place to land with people who will help you outside of the difficulties and the tumultuous environment that people have to face when they're they're diagnosed.
Yeah.
Kathy, you are a delight. You're positive. You're you've got a big, bright future. That is very, very clear, and you're making sure of it. And, if some of our listeners, if they've got suggestions or things that they think that, you could do, certainly if they get in touch with us, we will put them in touch with you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. What a pleasure meeting you both and spending time with you today.
Thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure meeting you, and we thank you again. Continued success, and and be well.
Yes,
be well.
Kathy.
I'm working on it.
Yeah.
We're with you. We're in your corner.
You bet. All right.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Take good care.
You too.
You too, friend. All right. We're going to take a break. Everybody wrap things up. When we come back, this is Kerrigan & Company. Kathy, thank you.
Get ready for her life, her music, her legend. A new spectacular production of The Cher Show is live on stage at Bill Haney's North Shore Music Theater from October 21st through November 2nd. Get tickets at nsmt.org.
Is there anything better than a fun Friday? Well, how about adding a facial to it? My friends at Sienna Aesthetic Medical Spa in Beverly are hosting Fun Facial Fridays every Friday in October from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Now, if you book a hydrofacial on an October Fun Friday, you'll enjoy $50 off, along with pumpkin coffee and muffins. So don't miss out on the savings and the fun. Book your October Fun Friday facial today at Sienna Aesthetics Medical Spa. Go to SiennaAesthetics.com. That's SiennaAesthetics.com. This segment of Kerrigan & Company is brought to you by Sienna Aesthetics Medical Spa. Take years off your face with the very latest technologies at Sienna Aesthetics in Beverly. Well, it's that time of the show that we wrap things up, and Gretta Monahan has been here with me, and we, of course, have been talking about cancer today, which can be it can be a difficult conversation to have, but obviously Kathy has proven, you prove, and so frequently we see people who, number one, have beaten it, and number two, have found a way to use that experience that they've had for good for others. Yes. And so I am so appreciative of that. Kathy is amazing,
incredible. She's
and
incredible. What an inspiration!
Yeah, I'm so pleased that she was willing to come and share her story. And I'm always tickled that you're here to share your story, whether it's about fashion and beauty or if it's about, of course, your battle with breast cancer. And you work directly with this wonderful foundation, and it is called. Oh goodness, help me
find the cause. Breast Cancer Foundation.
Yes.
Don't worry, it's a mouthful.
It's not that I don't know what it is.
No, I know. Oh, listen.
That suddenly I can't spit it out.
I have mom brain, you know. I'm always dealing with that.
And we've talked about, why it's so important to you to work with a foundation like this, because, it's great that we can find ways to deal with breast cancer
and deal with the treatments. I'll always work on behalf of the treatment. Of course. The medicine, all of the interventions when you have cancer, those are, I'm 100%, doing that as well. But we also need to prioritize avoiding. The biggest thing we could do is how do we prevent cancer?
Absolutely.
And what do we need to know about it in order to do that? Mm-hmm. And that is what I am focused on.
Yep, and that's what the foundation is focused on as well. The foundation needs recognition. Number one, we want people to know that it exists. It's based right here in Boston.
Yeah,
we have this incredible, these
now
incredible
it's
researchers.
Global,
but that's what I was just going to say. But it has
and they
spread,
still do their science here,
which is incredible. No doubt, though. I remember last year being at the gala that we're going to talk about and sitting with some of the researchers, and they were talking about the fact that they certainly work with researchers in other parts of the world.
Yeah, they collaborate all over the world,
right? Which is so great. That they can take this, because it's going to take more than a village.
Oh, absolutely.
There's no two ways about that. And it's going to take money. Yeah. So obviously it takes, people need to know about it, but then it's going to take money. You and your husband have gotten behind this organization, and last year they had their first annual gala beautiful event. How many people were there, Greta?
We called it, we decided, Caitlin, who's a survivor, who's our executive director, we got together and we're like, how can we make it not sound like a boring, long dinner?
Yeah.
'Cause we all just want to go to something and have fun,
right?
And I think, they were honoring me, and I said, what can we do? And she said, let's redo it. And let's go out with a prevention party, because that's what you're all about. That's what we're all about. And let's go and make it very clear that this is going to be a fun night. Yes,
right.
Cancer's a heavy subject, but let's turn it on its head and let's really make sure people come out. They have a memorable time. People who show up are always about the purpose. They're always there about the mission, and they're always doing it in support of what they believe in. But let's also just make it fun.
Yeah.
Let's change it all. We can get our information out in a fun way and have an incredible, memorable event that everybody's excited to get that invitation to or to sign up for. So that's the essence and the heart and soul of the prevention party. And frankly, even though Find the Cause has been around a long time, they're over 25 years doing what they do as an organization. The prevention party is a baby.
It is a baby.
You kicked it off.
Well, it was last year was the first one, and oh wow, it was really cool.
My friends came from all over.
That's what I was going to say. What was really cool was to look out and to see lots of faces that I know from the Boston area, because New England is really supporting the organization, and we're so appreciative of that.
This community is like no other.
But then I started to look around. I was like, wow, these are faces from New York and from California, and these are faces that everybody knows, who were all there for the same purpose. That was, first and foremost, I think, to support you and also to support this incredible cause.
Well, the thing about what you said is, when I tell people in 3 minutes, when I tell people what Find the Cause does, remember, 90% of all diagnosis is not family connected or genetic connected. So immediately people go, what? There's that little research happening around that? How can that be? How can that be? So it takes no work. Once people know about Find the Cause, what they specifically do, which is to put all the money into studying the environmental causes and the chemicals, which there's 87,000 chemicals that go untested into everything we use, they say, sign me up. And that's what happened.
Sure.
So my friend Katie Lee, she came, Marcy Blum, Dr. Jen Ashton, who's been, she's been someone I have watched and follow every word to the letter on her prevention and longevity advice. Yeah. They all said, sign me up. I need to
Rachel
be part
Ray.
of this. Rachel Ray has been a supporter since the beginning.
Absolutely. Michael Schlau, of course. We adore him, and he was here.
And I love it, and so, Michael said, I have daughters. Like, and men do get breast cancer as well. He said, I need to be I want to do more. I really want to do more. I got to get in there with you. Yeah. So it takes a lot of work, but you get the word out. And I just want everyone to come, Kim. I want everyone to join us and come to the prevention party. It's a blast. It's great. It's sold out last year, so you have to remind everybody.
Absolutely. You've got to get on it immediately. So it's October the 15th this year, and it's in the Seaport, and it's a wonderful event. It is the prevention party, and if you would like to know more, you can go to findthecausebcf.org. Let me give it to you again. findthecausebcf.org. You can get tickets there, and you can learn more about the organization. Cancer affects all of us at some point in our lives.
Yes,
it just does.
Yes.
And whether, as you've said numerous times throughout this show, whether it's breast cancer or any other form of cancer, finding the cause is where we all need to be headed.
Yes.
We've got to figure out why so many people are being diagnosed on an annual basis.
And if we do it together, we can turn the numbers around.
Yeah, absolutely. Gretta Monahan, you're adorable. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Kim.
I'm going to see you at the event.
Yes. And everyone else, come on, guys, join us.
All right. Thank you all for being with us today. And be sure you do check it out. And we will absolutely supply you with that website in all of our socials. So be sure that you check it out. In the meantime, if you're watching us on YouTube, we hope that you'll subscribe. And if you're not following us on social, be sure you do. We'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody, for listening to Kerrigan and Company. To find out who will keep me company and be my co-host on the next episode, be sure you follow us on Instagram, Facebook, X, and TikTok. Kerrigan and Company is recorded at the Big Night Studios at the TD Garden in Boston. You can view the podcast on YouTube and listen to it wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure you tell a friend. The executive producer of Kerrigan and Company is David Thompson, and our social media managers are Grace Kerrigan, Colby Thompson, and Riley Thompson. See you next time.